Hello everyone, welcome along to this intro video for the DiscZord Community Time Trial Challenge. This is my latest harebrained scheme for Twitch content, and it's taken the sort of recent tournament vibe we've been starting and changing it up a bit. This is quite left field, this one. So what I figured I would do is just introduce this via video, because video is often better for hearing me talk through what I'm trying to explain here, as opposed to reading, because there might be a little bit of reading. You know what I'm like, it tends to be pages after pages of rule books. I've done my best to make sure that that is not the case this time as much as possible. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to talk us through a bit of an intro of what we're doing, the rules, and how the competition will work. A few strategy tips just to bear in mind, and then we'll get into the meat and bones of how to actually build the car, or how to design the car to enter into this thing. There'll also be a preview of the course for round one, so you'll get a chance to see what the actual time trial stage will look like before you design your first car. So being released with this video is this Google Sheet. I've tried to condense everything into a Google Sheet. We've got, what's that, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tabs, which is quite a lot, but hopefully we'll be able to get everything we need out of that. So, a little intro. The premise of this is simple. Recently I've been doing quite a lot of rally-based content, which is me driving a car along a rally stage, which is fair enough. The idea with this is that via Automation, which is a car tycoon simulator type game, which is in early access, and then also BeamNG.drive, which is a sort of physics-based driving simulator, you can export a car from Automation to Beam, and then you can run the thing on a time trial stage. So that gave me the idea, well, why don't we give everybody a chance to do that? I'll drive all of the cars, and then we will see who's the quickest. So how have I turned that into a competition? Well, it's fairly straightforward. You need to create a car company, which you just come up with a name for the company, and that's how we track your score. You then get to design or import a car. I'll come on to what that means in a moment. And you get to name your car as well. As I say, steps 1 and 3 are super simple, unless you're one of those people who finds it difficult to come up with names for things, but I'll not be able to help you if that's the case. Step 2 is the challenge itself. Hopefully, it will be some good fun. The time trial challenge consists of 3 rounds, which will be 3 separate streams that I'll do. In each round, a company can enter 1 vehicle. All of the vehicles will be driven on BeamNG.drive. You all start with a fake, magic, whatever, $500,000. And the way we're going to judge this is at the end of 3 rounds, the company with the highest budget is declared the winner of the time trial challenge. So what does that mean? If you can be cheap and quick, then you won't eat into your profit margins too much, and you've got more of a chance to come out on top. Okay, so let's talk vehicles. This is the crutch of what you need to do to enter this thing. So a company, aka you, can either design a vehicle or import a vehicle ahead of each round. If you choose to design, you'll work with Zord Sport's team of engineers, aka me, to create a custom built car from the ground up in Automation. What we'll then do is we'll export that car to BeamNG.drive, and we'll get to see it on the road. The alternative option, if you're strapped for time or you really don't want to get into the nuts and bolts of building up a car yourself, is that you can choose one of 15 models of car to import. That will be more expensive, so it'll eat more into your budget, but it means that you can get involved without having to worry too much about how you want to set your suspension up or any of the complicated things like that. What I would say, though, is give the design option a look, because I've tried to simplify it down a bit. It's not too difficult, and largely just have a go, pick some things, and see what happens. Okay, so let's talk prizes, because this is essentially how you win. So it's worth remembering that the company with the largest bank balance after 3 rounds is the actual winner. It's not just the person who sets the fastest time each time, necessarily. So remember, you've got that initial 500,000 to spend, but as you can see from the prizes available in the fastest time, it doesn't take much for you to suddenly be turning a loss. If you're not in the top 3 and you've spent your whole budget, you'll actually be turning a loss on what you invested. So if you're going to spend the whole bank, you need to make sure that you are going to be quick. In every round, every entrant will get either 3 completed attempts or 10 total attempts. And that's whichever comes first. So if your car is so undrivable that I can't get it to the end of the course, I will only attempt to do that 10 times. And your best time will be the only one that counts. So if you get to the finish line once, that will be your best time. If you don't reach the finish line at all, you'll be considered to have not set a time and therefore won't earn any money. If your car is fairly drivable and it gets to the finish 3 times, then that will be your lot. Other than the fastest time category, we've also got the popular vote. This is available to the top 3 cars as chosen by the general public. However, to remove accusations of biased voting, as in you all voting for your own car, if I did it via Twitch chat, instead it'll be represented by an independent adjudicator, and that person can't be bought. The adjudicator will select their 3 favourite vehicles by any metrics they deem suitable. So it could be the ones that they think look the coolest or the ones that they think look the funniest. I can't judge that. That is up to them. Those companies will receive the prize money shown on the right if you're in the top 3. Finally, amongst the known categories, we have Judge's Choice. So these will all be judged by the game itself, not by me. Each vehicle will be awarded a score out of 100 in comfort, practicality, and marketability. The last of which, marketability, you can assume to mean how many we think we'll sell, which in this context probably means meme value. The mystery categories, they're unknown and they carry unknown prize pools as well. For balance, just expect them to be similar in size to the Judge's Choice category above. So about 200k to 50k-ish, depending on how well you do. Right, so I don't want this section to go on too long before we get into the nitty-gritty of this. So here's just a few quick strategy tips that I've written down. This is a lot of text, which is why I'm going to read it. As I said, the biggest prize pool is fastest time, but securing the fastest time may not be enough to win if you spend the entire budget doing so. At the same time, if you take a really boring approach, that's unlikely to win you any money in the popular vote and at least one of the Judge's Choice categories, as in memeability. In terms of the build, I'll do the very best to build what you want, but as much as I'd like to be able to throw any engine into any vehicle, the laws of physics sometimes prevent this. If the engineers are unable to fulfill a request, they'll instead offer alternative solutions, but please note that these solutions may be bad ideas. So when it comes to actually building the cars, here we are inside Automation, and when I said there was over 1,000 options, like I wasn't kidding. It just keeps going and 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 keeps going. Yeah, there's plenty of choice, which is why I've tried to categorize everything as much as I possibly can. If I click on, say, this 2009 SUV, we can move to the next panel and you get a screen like this. Which gives you options of panel material, chassis type, and so on. So for the time being, I'll just put this down as steel. I've not made these options because I didn't want to overcomplicate it. So I think for the most part, I'm just going to go for a flat. Everyone will get the same. Then it gets to selecting an engine. So this is where I wanted to show you what happens. If I go and select the massive engine, the 8.6 litre whale, and pop that in the car, then I get this warning that says the engine bay is quite full, resulting in elevated service costs. Now, if I go back to the car model thing and choose like a really small model, so you see we immediately get this flashing light up that says the current engine does not fit. Now, as much as I would like to just ignore that and push through and build the car anyway, the problem is that I can't, because when I get to this screen here, it doesn't let me set a drive type or a gearbox or anything like that because there's no engine physically in the vehicle. Just continuing to use that example. So What I wanted to show you is the body morphing options that are available. So on the chassis itself, you can basically slide. It's only a little bit, but you can slide in and out various parts of the body to sort of dictate what your car is going to look like. You can move these wheel arches out and make them super wide, for example. But yeah, if you stick that in the request box when it comes to things, if you know particularly what you would want there, then we can get that done for you as well. So back to a couple more strategy tips. Just remember that it's me driving the vehicles. So I'm a sort of relatively decent enough driver. I've got a wheel and pedals here, but I'm not an extremely good driver. So if your car is uncontrollable, I am going to have a difficult time getting it to the finish line quickly. So enough chit chat, time to design or import a car. So in order to submit an order, there are 2 order forms that I need you to fill in. And again, I've tried to make things as straightforward as possible. So you can click on this link here if you want to design your own vehicle. And this will take you to the design a vehicle order form. The first thing I ask for is your DiscZord name, and that is just so that I can contact you with what the car looks like and any questions I might have and showing you how it's coming along. So the first thing to decide on is the chassis, and there's genuinely over 1,000 options available, as I said before. So we've got categories to try and narrow it down. The first thing you need to do is decide whether you want one of these 8 chassis styles. Within each category, there's dozens of options. So there's utilities that look different to this. There's a huge variety of sports car models and whatnot. If you're not 100% sure, just pick one, and then in the request box at the bottom, just mention that you'd like to take a look at some of the other decades as well. There is a convertible option as well. If you'd like to make the car a convertible means that we can take the roof down on a warm day. Then it'll cost you an extra $5,000 to do so, but that option is available. After that is the engine. We've got 8 engines available for you to choose from, all named after animals, so you can get a rough idea of the amount of power that the engine's going to produce. Once you've made your engine choice, you can choose whether you want to install nitrous oxide for a power boost. A warning on nitrous oxide that it might be fun, but there is a significant risk that if you overdo it on the nitrous oxide, your engine will fail and you won't make it to the end of the course. There's an option as well for, would you be happy to accept a smaller version of your chosen engine to allow it to fit inside the chassis? So if you decide you really want this particular type of engine, but it's probably going to be too big, we can try to make that a bit smaller for you. But you would get less power than advertised, and we wouldn't refund you any cash for that. After that is performance options. So the randomize button is here. Drivetrain, you've got front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, or 4-wheel drive with a cost attached to that as well. There's 4 types of tires that you can choose from here. More details in the catalog. There's 3 types of brake system. Again, more details in the catalog. And you can choose how you want your suspension to be set up. Styling options is where you make it look the business, how you want it to look. You can choose what color you want the vehicle to be. Don't forget this box. And we can have a main color, and you can paint the bonnet a different color, for example, or you can have trim parts a different color. Let me know what you want, and we'll see what we can do. Paint finish, the standard metallic thing you normally get on a car is the basic option, but there are other options available. Various styling options you get in bulk for free. So this includes things like headlights, tail lights, wing mirrors, door handles. All I want from you here is a general styling vibe. For an extra $10,000, you can have meme. In a nutshell, meme means I will go absolutely over the top with the basic styling functions, put a bunch of headlights on there and all that sort of thing. The 3D shapes package is, there's a demonstration here. There's various sort of 3D bits and bobs you can add to the car and then color in. So if you really want to add something ridiculous to the top of the car, we can try and make that happen for you. Beyond that, optional extras are the sort of fancy bits, and some of these will have aerodynamic effects as well. That's why they've got a cost associated with them. You can select any of these for a first time here, and then if you want additional versions, so if you decide you want more than one scoop, for example, on the front of the car, then just let me know in this box here, and you will be charged an extra time at the same price for each additional one you take. But feel free to go absolutely wild on this sort of stuff. Once you're done with that, the only thing is left to do is let me know the company name, which, as I say, would be classed as something like Ford, Volkswagen, Ferrari, that sort of thing. And then the name of your vehicle is your particular model that you've just built here. So, for example, the Ford Fiesta, the company name is the Ford, and the name of the vehicle is the Fiesta. And that's how we'll identify your vehicle in the game. So the only thing is left to do is give you a rundown of the course for round 1. So we will be using the hill climb route at Jungle Rock Island, which is a tarmac surface, but a bit of a bumpy tarmac surface with lots of jungle and trees at either side of the road. For the purposes of this, I'm just going to pick the most boring car I possibly can, which is this Pacima thing. So here we are at the start of the course with the frankly abysmal looking beige Pacima thing. Don't build something like this, it's really, really dull. Alright, so here we go then, underway. This thing's an automatic as well, so that makes it even worse. But there's a slight left here, which will let me know immediately how well your car's handling. And then we go straight into a hairpin left through the first checkpoint. That'll then bring us up the hill, acceleration zone up the hill. We'll test your car out as well before we hit another hairpin right at the top of the hill. Across the bridge, and then we're into some more high-speed handling areas. There's a braking point just before the crest of this hill, which will be difficult. If your car's a bit too lightweight for the power, it might take off there. And then the course gets narrow through this bit with another couple of fairly fast corners that we need to negotiate here, which will again test the high-speed handling of the car. Then there's a heavy braking point here for this right-left through the checkpoint. Very easy to understeer into the growth on the outside. And then this long left is very, very bumpy, and if your car's suffering with understeer, as in struggling to take the corners, that corner will be very, very painful indeed. It's then up the hill and a swing left through the trees again. This is quite a late turn in on this one, and then that followed by a right through the next checkpoint. Again over the crest of the hill and looking for the braking point as we sweep through this next right left. The course gets really narrow here again, so if your car's a bit wide, this bit could be quite treacherous. And then on the brakes for that slight hairpin there, picking up the power again through this right, and then the surface of the road gets very, very bumpy through here. So if your suspension is all over the place, we will feel it through there. Chance to lose the car over that turn over the crest of the hill. And then another bumpy braking zone over the bridge, which is like a double apex corner, which will again test the handling. One corner to go. Is this tighter than it seems? Hairpin. Well, it's very easy to run into that outside barrier. And then the final run down through the left and across the line. We're looking at between sort of 1:40 and 2.5 minutes, I reckon. Alright guys, so that wraps up this explanation. This has probably gone on longer than I intended it to, but it always does. If you have any questions, just let me know via the Discord. I'm still waiting to set an official date for round 1, but keep an eye on the Discord server as well, and I'll get that announced as soon as I can. And have fun building stuff. I'm excited to see what you all come up with.